This is Defenders TV Podcast, episode 183, where we're talking about Iron Fist, Season 2, Episode 9, War Without End. Welcome back, fellow Defenders. It is I, one of your hosts, Chris Jones, for Defenders TV Podcast, where we're talking today about the penultimate episode of Season 2 of Iron Fist, War Without End. I am joined by my fellow hosts.
Yes, this is John, one of your other hosts.
And I'm your final host, Derek. I cannot believe we're saying the words, the penultimate episode of Iron Fist already. That's amazing.
On episode 9.
Just because of the word penultimate, or just...
No, we've said that word before. We've said that word before. No, I'm just shocked we're almost at the end of this season of Iron Fist already.
Yeah, we want 4 more. We want 4 more. Mm-hmm. We want 3 more because we know we've got one coming.
True. Yeah.
Let's just jump into it. If you're joining us for the first episode because you just want to listen to the last 2 episodes of our review, sure, why not? Don't forget you can get access to all of our back catalogue and everything in between over at our website at defenderstvpodcast.com, or you can join us on our social channels by going over to, for example, join our group at facebook.com/groups/defenderstvpodcast. We have a load of spoiler posts for each individual review, so just make sure that you read the pinned post so that you know exactly where to put all your thoughts and stuff. Or if you want to get your own dulcet tones over on our podcast tell us what you think of the episode 10 or the season as a whole, go over to the website defenderstvpodcast.com and leave us a voicemail of up to 90 seconds and we will include it in our wrap-up review. Without further ado, because I know this is going to cause a war without end. Gentlemen, let's get into this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, do you want to give us all the details of the backstory?
Absolutely, yes. This episode, War Without End, is named after Power Man and Iron Fist issue 83. This was a fantastic cover for this issue. This was an issue where Danny tries to defend a group being attacked and gets beaten and sent to hospital, and Luke Cage has to step in to save him. So it is kind of similar to what's happening in this episode, with Danny having to rely on his friends and the people around him to help him in this situation. So quite cool that we've got another comic book for inspiration again.
Yeah, he's taking down Warhawk.
Yes, in the comic, yeah.
Not in the episode, but in the comic, yeah.
Do you want to tell us who directed and wrote this episode?
Yep, this episode was directed by Sanford Bookstaver, first time on Marvel, but has worked on many other shows, stuff like Chicago Fire and Graceland as well. And the episode was written by Daniel Shattuck, again, another first timer for Marvel, but he was a writer on Graceland. He wrote about 9 or 10 episodes. So wondering if they came over together onto this project.
Yeah.
When I first saw these details, I was like, really? You're going to give your penultimate episode to newly minted director and a writer? I'm not giving away any kind of things here. But no, really, really enjoyed the style of cinematography, enjoyed the writing.
Mm-hmm. John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for the episode?
Sure. Davos challenges Joy's loyalty, and after pushing her off the balcony at his hideout, goes after the Golden Tigers, the Hatchets, and the Tibetan Singing Bowl at the Bayard Community Centre. Meanwhile, Colleen faces a life-changing decision as Danny tries to persuade her to take the Iron Fist from Davos. Colleen is reluctant to take on the responsibility of this mystical power. As they debate their next move, the Bayard Community Centre is attacked by Davos and his followers. Colleen and Danny fend off and sedate Davos, preventing violence between him and the now unified triads. But in the fight, BB is killed by his former friends, which drives Colleen to take a more hands-on approach. They take an unconscious Davos back to the dojo, and the Crane sisters prepare Colleen for the transference ritual. But Davos wakes up halfway through and attempts to interrupt the ritual. As Danny leaps to defend Colleen Wing, she summons her own white Iron Fist.
Ooh, wow.
Fantastic.
And I am dying to see where we get to on the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
I just have this vision of all of a sudden we're going to see, obviously we see the White Fist, or whatever we end up calling Colleen. We're going to have the Red Fist in Davos and the Steel Serpent. But then I just have this vision of like them two fighting and then suddenly Danny jumping in to save this killing blow and stopping Davos with the golden Iron Fist. And then we're just going to end up having this 3-way fight of fist versus fist versus fist. It's going to be brilliant because Davos has 2. That's not fair. But we're going to see Colleen has 1. Anyway, that's enough of episode 10 speculation. Let's move into our top 5 points for episode 9. Ding, ding, ding. First up, Joy's failure of vision. She just does not get it. Well, the first part is, yay, she's alive.
Yes.
I literally thought they had killed her off.
Yeah.
She's one of the strongest characters. My brain was just doing like mental calculations like a beautiful mind going, where are they going with this? How do you, if they can do that, then does that, and then that. Luckily, she survives.
Yeah.
But her challenge to Davos in that you could see the fear and then that flip of her going, no, he's going to try and kill me anyway. I need to make him feel weak. I was like, that is some strength.
Yeah, it was really good. I loved that. I think there were 2 moments with that. Her with Davos, you know, she's trying to pull the wool over his eyes, but I think she kind of knows that he knows, and it's clear to Davos that she's the only one that let BB out. I mean, who else could it have been? And there's that moment where she realizes that actually there's nowhere to go now. And she effectively tells him that he's gone mental. I mean, I really like the fact that she kind of says to him, what adult would follow you? It's why you have to hang around teenage boys because, you know, any adult will just see through the BS. Really, really good. Apart from sycophantic adults like Chen Wu. So, you know, she sticks up for herself. And I mean, that moment, like, it is really tense. You're kind of thinking, because Davos is losing it, you know, he really is. And I was like, are we just going to see kind of like this red glow? And again, that sound of fist punching through gut or whatever. And instead he just decides to push her off. I'm really glad that she is still alive. But I think as well, then you have that moment where she stands up to Chen Wu as well. You know, I mean, she goes, I will give you money. How much do you need? How much do you want? And this is where we get this revelation that Chen Wu has actually started to take in what Davos is selling. You know, he's changing, and he says that, you know, there would have been a time where they were the magic words. That's all that needed to happen. And, you know, we do hear Chen Wu's side as well about, I was driving him round just to keep myself safe at the start. And then now, you know, he's started to believe, but I do like Joy here standing up to him as well. I thought that was really good. I think these 2 moments were really such a nice, touch, really. You know, these 2 disciples of Davos, one of them has absolutely taken it all in Chen Wu, and Joy has realized that he is going nuts. You know, that Davos is, I mean, it's almost like he's breaking down a bit, actually.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like the tics and the strain that he has, is just really amazing, because it looks like he's trying to hold everything in and not just go, because he's going absolutely kind of crazy. You know, he's gone so fanatical. Everything is against him and everything is a threat, and he is just too righteous for his own good. You know, he's got contempt for absolutely everything. He thinks that just because triads are in a community centre, that then the community centre is working with them. The logic is broken down, the rationale, the reason. Yeah. I love that these 2 disciples, one of them has absolutely bought into it in Chen Wu, and even with the kids as well from Rhino's gang, and the other, Joy here, it is just like, no, this has gone way too far. Can you not see yourself, you know?
Yeah. But I suppose that's the point, that the power of the Iron Fist has now completely taken over Davos. You know, we see him here struggling with these ideas of him not getting what he wants. What I think is interesting about him pushing Joy off that top floor is the fact that he doesn't use the Iron Fist. He doesn't just release himself and use it like he did against the restaurant owner, Mr. Yip, where he just released the Iron Fist the minute that he was, that he thought he was being betrayed. In this case, with Joy, he doesn't do that. He just pushes her off as if saying, you're not even worth wasting the Iron Fist on. You know?
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting change for Davos here. I think he was intending to kill her. I think he was intending that she would die from that fall. We see it when Chen Wu goes down to check on her and goes, oh, you did survive. Oh, okay. But she's just not worth it.
Yeah, but I mean, Chen Wu does say, he's got something planned for you.
Right, okay.
So you just wonder. I must say, I did think when I saw Joy's blood matted hair, I was like going, I bet that was really difficult to get out after the scene. I was kind of feeling for her that moment of like trying to get the knots out of the hair. Like it was like, whoa, you know, she really did lie in that puddle of fake blood for a while. But it was great. I loved it because she fights back in that moment of weakness. And it's a really great thing, I think, when you see that, from a character. Whether it was to Davos because she's got nowhere to run, or with Chen Wu because she is bleeding after being pushed off, the balcony in Davos's sort of lair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just to kind of wrap up this one, because I think actually this is one of our kind of, we got it right from episode 1, in that we were talking about the rage that was in Danny when he was punching the door and how this could be connected to Xiao Lao and this feeding of the rage. And we've kind of progressed this theory over the course of the season. But yeah, Davos is fully in the rage of Xiao Lao.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Danny is the will of the dragon, Davos is the pure, unadulterated rage of the dragon. He just is susceptible to all this. He is fully open to only caring about anger and rage and just letting it fully fill him to the point where, you know, we're like blinded by rage, just going red.
Absolutely.
Again, this is why I love these shows. And I say these quite often, but every now and again, you see something these writers have done, which is the choosing of the red goes for Davos's fist goes beyond that. Goes beyond just because he is rage. So rage is red. He, like, it's not just that the steel serpent is actually purple. They could have gone that way. No, it's to do with him just being consumed by that anger.
Yeah.
Like when he killed Mr. Yip, I was actually shocked.
Yeah.
Me too.
Like, this is the man who only cared about making Kunlun 2.0 in New York.
Yeah.
In Chinatown, making it a place of peace and prosperity. And now that guy is like, above all else, I will be your dictator.
But it flipped so quickly as well. I know you weren't on the episode that we were talking about that moment, but it did flip so quickly with Davos. He was trying to make a statement here. He brought the kids down to apologize to Mr. Yip for what they'd done to him. And within about 3 seconds, he completely reads something into Mr. Yip's body language, not even anything he said, and turns the whole thing around and kills him instantly without any provocation at all. So this is where we know that the anger and rage from Xiao Lao seems to have completely overtaken Davos's mind.
Yeah, it's consumed him, and broken him to some extent. But Mr. Yip is survived by his daughter and his cousin, Frank Choi. And I think this, brings us on to point number 2, in that Frank Choi gets to tell his story.
We finally see Frank Choi after 8 episodes, you know?
Courtesy of Misty Knight, who has managed to wrangle and finagle an FBI task force and a local NYPD task force to bring down Davos. But she brings in Frank Choi into the dojo after Colleen and Danny have been out in Chinatown. We have this fantastic moment where, you know, we know that Colleen's mum has come to New York. She didn't die back in Japan, but she's been in New York and she could possibly still be alive. We don't know. And we have this fantastic moment where Frank Joy, it not only gives the key to the ledger, but says, I got this like crazy tale of the pirate queen and the fisherman, of Pinghai Bay. And, just really, really interesting. I do like the moment that you get a little kind of sense that Danny's listening to this, this legend or this story of this princess and the fisherman, kind of going, I've heard something along those lines as well. Yeah. But Frank Joy is a total, like, this was a crazy tale, complete nonsense, totally hard ass here on any form of story. But it was just a really nice moment to get this brush and comb set explained in a sense. I'm really glad they got to do that.
A little bit. And I like how Frank kind of lays it up, kind of going, I don't really remember any details about her, but I'll never forget her BS story. It's that kind of thing. So there is that connection, and it is a story that Colleen heard that was made up by her mother. So she knows it's definitely her mother that was involved. It does completely change her whole backstory, because what she's been telling everybody about her history over the years has been that her father gave her up, sent her off to her grandparents when her mother died, which is now not her history. Her history is that her mother left and went to New York. So she has a whole new search for her history. And it does kind of knock Colleen for six when she realizes that by investigating this, she's now changed her own history.
Definitely. But I really like the fact that Misty is there to kind of just prop her up, really. You really get the sense of these two, connecting even more here on the balcony as Colleen's kind of trying to deal with this. And you really, Misty's kind of just saying, look, no one wants to necessarily be a hero, and you're not necessarily born a hero. And there are absolutely normal human reasons. It could be stupidity, short-sightedness, anger, whatever, but you don't have any of these. And yes, if Danny takes back the Iron Fist, it will be in good hands, but it will be in better hands if you take it, because you have a more level head. Because, Danny does open up to Colleen about this addiction that he's had to the chi when they're in his sort of former practice ground by the subway.
Yeah.
You really do get the sense that she would be able to cope with this power that will be in her, or Misty at least seems to think that she would. And she really just keeps her sort of centered here in this moment where her whole world has been turned upside down, with the revelation that her mum, came to New York, and had been alive past, the time she thought she was dead.
And could still be alive as well, as Danny and Colleen says, that this could be the next mission that the two of them go out on, is to try and find her mother, that I think that's quite an interesting piece. I also have to say that scene with Misty and Colleen is probably one of my favorites so far, when Misty says to her, I think this is probably the most real relationship I have in my entire life. And Colleen goes, mine too. Did you hear what Danny's actually proposing to me? This kind of thing where she's actually saying that herself and Danny are kind of falling apart because Danny's going, I want you to take the Iron Fist. And she doesn't believe in that in this moment. So Misty's actually her only real friend at that particular second, because Danny's trying to push her towards a destiny that she doesn't believe she deserves, in a way. Great moments between the two of them.
Yeah. I loved this. I'm guessing I'm the one who's going to talk about the Pirate Queen connection.
You can, of course.
Okay, thank you very much. So, for our listeners, there is a comic part of the Matt Fraction run of the Immortal Iron Fist series. I think it was that was 27 issues. Issue 7 was the Pirate Queen of Pinghai Bay. And the issue focused on the life of Wu Ao Shi, who was the first female Iron Fist from 1545 AD. The story we are getting in this, which is a connection to Colleen's family, says that that's why Danny kind of recognizes the story. I'm hoping he at least calls it out in the next episode, because they made it obvious Danny had heard the story.
Yeah, exactly.
For me and my other fellow defenders, those who've read this comic book, we all went, oh, I know that one. She's an Iron Fist. Why doesn't he call it out?
Yeah.
It was a bit like, okay, I'm hoping in the next episode they at least delve it a bit deeper, going, well, now you're an Iron Fist, and who knew? Actually, one of your great ancestors was the first female Iron Fist. It's kind of, again, full circle.
But Colleen does only think that it was a bedtime story. Is it really connected directly to the wings? Like, that's not something we fully know. Like, it seems to me that Colleen, it takes it as it was a bedtime story for her, given to her by her mum, whether it was, and this was our family. But, and I think this is where Danny is kind of like going, how do they know that story? Because that was a story told in Kunlun. I think maybe at this moment, Danny is there trying to process as to why her parents would know this story that he knows from Kunlun, rather than necessarily making or thinking that she could be an Iron Fist. I think. Yeah.
Why would they have the Pirate Queen's comb box from the bow of the ship?
But I think that box is simply a Wing family heirloom with that symbol. Now that may ultimately be the symbol that is the Pirate Queen of Pinghai Bay, but at this moment in time, it's Colleen's family symbol. That's what I'm saying. This connection that this story is about the Wing family or some distant connection to the Wing family is not known. Maybe it's something, as you say, that comes out in the final episode as to that. But at the moment, I always took that Colleen freaked out about this because it was a connection to her immediate family. Yeah. Because it's the symbol on the hilt of her katana and then on this. And Frank Choi is simply taking this as payment. This is a payment element, and that this was, something related to this story. Not necessarily that the family was the Pirate Queen.
Right.
Or came from the Pirate Queen.
Yeah, it could just have been an inspirational story that she had heard in some way from the people of Kunlun, and she decided to tell it to her daughter to give her some kind of guidance as to where she should go in the future, kind of thing. You know, an inspirational story. But I know Colleen says, how does anybody else know this story? Because my mother made it up. Whereas the reaction from Danny seems to be that he knows the story. So, could he have ever had any connection with Colleen's mom? Could he have ever heard the story from her? Was she somebody in Kunlun, or did the tale pass through Kunlun to his mother? It's very interesting. I do hope to come back to it in the next episode.
Yeah, sorry, no, because I think this is where I filled in the gaps in my brain. Because what I took was that the box was from the story. What the box was made from the bow of the first ship.
Yes.
And that box has the Wing symbol on it, and therefore it's a family heirloom. It was passed down. Because again, like I straight away went, oh, Pirate Queen, she made the box. And then the box was obviously passed down generation to generation, mother to daughter, mother to daughter, mother to daughter.
Right.
And that's where my head went. So yeah, okay. Thinking back on it now, I'm like, okay, they didn't actually say all the things I thought they had said.
But I think that's exactly where it is. I'm completely with you that ultimately Danny's reaction, the provenance of that box, it's just within the story. Colleen just thinks that it is a story. It's a bedtime story, and it was a story that her mom just kept repeating. But it's not resonating with respect to that she would know about Kunlun or the Iron Fist.
Yeah. And I think as we were talking about in the last episode, when Danny proposes the idea of her taking up the Iron Fist at the end of the last episode, what we were talking about is she doesn't necessarily need to have any connection to Kunlun to become an Iron Fist. Danny didn't.
Yep.
He's a child from New York that happened to be in Kunlun and then took it and is called the outsider by Davos. That's why Davos feels that Danny doesn't deserve the Iron Fist, because he's not from Kunlun. But Danny has it, so therefore Colleen can have it, and anybody else can have it. If they are able to hold that power, they can have it. But it will be interesting if this is connected when we get to the next episode.
I would not like this to be a thread left hanging.
Yeah.
I would like this to be at least somewhat reference in the final episode, so that we get a bit more, and then it's on. It's the smoking man from the X-Files, right? Which is, they're going to keep dropping threads throughout the season, but then you get a big revelation in the last episode, but enough to give you oh, but there's also more. So I want that. If they don't reference it again, then just going into season 3, if we get a season 3, no one will remember this small conversation.
Yeah.
Kind of
well,
thing.
Hopefully it's in the next episode. Like, that is the real concern that I have with only one episode left. They've got lots of loose ends to tie up. Will they get the chance to tie them all up in one episode? But let's get on to our next point. Let's get on to point number 3. Showdown at Bayard Community Centre. Everything, as you were referencing in your synopsis, John, everything is just pointing towards Bayard Community Centre. Everybody's there. The Golden Tigers are there. The Hatchets are there. BB's brought the Tibetan Singing Bowl there. We have everybody in the Bayard Community Centre, and Davos about to land.
Absolutely. Like, this is the melting pot of this episode. It's the crucible. It's the fire in which, dare I say it, they burn. Because it's the moment where Colleen decides to step up. You know, she has said she doesn't want the Iron Fist. It's where BB is slain by, you know, his former gang brothers. And this propels Colleen. So it's a massive moment. You have the triads coming together. You have that face off, between, Danny and, Davos, which I just really liked. I mean, it was one of those things where when Danny limps in, the shot, I'm like going, now continuity error. I was like going, why is he doing this? I was like going, come on, Finn Jones, what are you doing? And then like Derek just nudged me and goes, no, it's Danny trying to get Davos off guard. And I'm going, of course it is. Why on earth was I thinking, like that? I don't know why.
Because the last time Davos saw Danny, he sent him to hospital. He broke his leg and sent him to hospital.
Well, he saw him running from saving Mrs. Yang with Colleen. Like,
exactly.
That's the thing. That's why I was there going, and now he's limping on to face him. But it is, you know, it's deception. It's smoke and mirrors to try and make Davos feel as though, you know, he could absolutely, have the upper hand if they were going to battle. It's to make him appear less threatening, I suppose. But I loved the fight. You know, I loved that kind of switch on of Davos's Iron Fist occasionally where, Danny is having to sort of duck and dive away from it. And of course the Special K, being punched into, Davos as well. Really good.
Can I jump back slightly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just talk about BB here? I know why they did it. His death, as you said, John, propels Colleen.
Yeah.
I just wish they could have done it in a better way. If they had have chosen a different story arc or a different way of doing it, but he shouldn't have died. No reason other than I liked the character. I liked that he, again, was trying to redeem himself, going, this is not what we need to do. He was a good kid. So to see that his death was used as the catalyst for Colleen to become what she needs to become. It's not that it's overused, not that it was not good. I'm not saying that. I think it's just because I liked the character.
Yeah, likewise.
I would have liked to see him in a season 3 if we got a season 3, where he helps Colleen set up her dojo again to help train the kids off the streets, or he starts working in the community centre.
Could have been like DW from Luke Cage, you know, a character that got a bigger role, say, even in the last episode or, you know, into a season 3 or something like that.
I think you need to build out this cast. Yeah, I think we've got, you know, 2 central players in this cast with Danny and Colleen, and it felt like BB was being set up as kind of the street connection for Colleen and Danny so that they can actually get some information from the streets. That's how we thought this whole storyline was going to play out with Rhino's gang. I think my particular problem with his death scene is that he's speaking the truth to these kids who are the other members of his gang. He's telling them some real honest truths about how they should be living their lives and not following a crazy leader like Davos. That's not what they got into this crew together for, you know? And then he gets killed for it. It feels like a little bit of a misstep in killing BB when he's speaking the truth to these kids, effectively saying that the rest of the gang are completely irredeemable.
Yeah.
Is that the message that you want to have for these street kids that have come into the show that they're irredeemable because they followed Davos and he's led them now down this really dark path that they can't turn away from.
Yeah.
Are they just going to go into prison now?
Pretty much.
After this
Well,
battle?
it looks like it.
Colleen's effectively getting them all taken off by the cops, and they've killed one of their closest members. So they're now gone. This entire crew are completely demolished by being involved with Davos. It's a very interesting way to end their story arc.
Yeah, I just wanted, I think, more. I wanted to see him become more than just this part. Like, I did have a feeling they were training him up to be something more. So Colleen starts training the kids to become a good army, if you will.
Yeah.
An army for good. He would have been the Shifu. She would have been Shifu. He would have been the second in command, or the redemption, as you said, of the gang.
Yeah.
Then there was another character that we haven't talked about who has a large Marvel connection. And Derek, do you want to drop this one?
The leader in the community centre, Sam Chung. We haven't spoken about him all season because he's only referenced as Sam on screen. Samuel Chung is a Marvel Comics character. Character is Blind Spot in the Daredevil universe. I find it really interesting that they've put him in here as a community centre leader. He got no real connection to the character origin story in the comic books, no real reference to the fact that he is Blind Spot, but M. Raven Metzner has confirmed that this is what he is written out as on the page. In the scripts, he is written out as Samuel Chung, and that is definitely a reference to the character. So it's been confirmed. We're probably not going to see the creation of Blind Spot in the last episode, but once again, they're layering something into these Marvel shows that we may see in a future series of Daredevil or a future series of these shows.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, because I actually thought for a second that BB might become Blind Spot. Go with me here. Season 3.
Theory's already failed, Chris.
Well, yeah, okay. But this is where my theory was going before he died, was that Danny continues to be the Iron Fist. He's still helping Matt kind of protect the city. He needs an apprentice. You get BB helping. BB kind of becoming more. He's like, I want to help more. I want to become better. And Rand Technology gives him the Blind Spot suit.
Right.
Okay.
You were so far off on that.
Yeah, so far. It was a fantastic time to put in this storyline of Blind Spot, which the actual comic origin is all about immigration and illegal aliens. We get the hints in this one that there has been this life debt of people being smuggled in by the triads. So I was like, oh, this could be, maybe BB was the next generation of illegal aliens. You could have layered it in really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, anyway.
I think there's also that thing when you name a character something like BB, he does get the explanation for why he has the name BB, but you have that feeling that maybe he's going to be named some other character, that the actual name is going to be something different and is going to be from the comic books. And then it's just all taken away in this episode by killing him off. It is a sad loss for the show, I think. I'd like to have seen him back in season 3, but it is really important, as you say, John, because it does push Colleen over the edge and make her realize, actually, maybe I need to step up. Maybe I need to do something bigger for my community, because there is bad stuff out there that I don't think I can deal with by not having the Iron Fist.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I definitely agree. I really wish we were able to keep BB in the show. But certainly it's a good story point and jump off to really bring into sharp focus to Colleen that actually maybe she does need to step it up, and it's where she sees that she's willing to take responsibility. And ultimately, what we have here is Danny successfully knocking out Davos in order for them to take him back to the dojo for this ceremony by the Crane sisters. So it's really good. I mean, one other point here is that Mrs. Yang's right-hand man, leader of the army within the Hatchets, does try to slow down Davos. I don't think he's ever going to kill him. And again, we see Davos's absolute uncompromising contempt for him, where he effectively gives him a right-hand hook with the Iron Fist, and it just pans back and there's a bloody kitchen left. After disarming him of his 2 hatchets and chucking one of them through his heart. So, I mean, that was a pretty brutal scene within the kitchen. Again, really highlighting how much Davos has lost it. It was a good fight scene, though, I thought, as well.
Jumping back into Dany versus Davos.
Yeah.
I feel that could have gone on a bit longer. Just personally.
I think the point is made really that Dany's not at full strength yet.
Yeah. So
he can't really take on Davos for a big fight. But I do love the moment when the syringe is thrown in the air. Dany stops Davos's punch, catches it, and then stabs him with the syringe in a very quick motion. Like, he's still, again, showing that he is such a good fighter that he's able to stop someone with 2 iron fists.
It's a real sweet move.
But it needed to be quick. It needed to be a fast fight because Davos is so ultra powerful here that Dany would never have a chance against him, even with his amazing martial arts skills. So he has to do it as quickly as possible. Once he gets in close, he needs to take the syringe and take him out as quickly as possible.
The thing with this fight as well was that, because Dany is trying to see whether Davos will back down of his own accord, because he is knocked over, and then he pulls out the syringe and says, well, I tried to reason with you. Now here comes
the pain.
Yeah, here comes the special K, to sedate him. And I really liked that, because I really liked, I like that moment where effectively Dany says to him, why do you think your own dad pulled you from the fight for the Iron Fist? Because he knew you could not handle it, because, it is consuming him and it's breaking him. And he is actually defaming the notion of Xiao Lao and the power of the Qi, by him continually using it against innocence. If it was totally to protect Kunlun from the Hand, then even him embroiling himself within New York is actually kind of a misuse of this Qi to some extent. Not that I think that, but I just really think it's just a great moment between these two characters. It reconnects them because they have been separated, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I understand your point. It had to be fast. He's not at full strength. I just would have liked a bit more of the goading.
Oh, yeah.
The like, literally, because just as John said, like, that, why do you think your father called the match? Davos, like, I literally wanted to see red steam come out his ears almost in a cartoon fashion, and to see him like power up both fists and like just smash a wall. And then that's where you get that fantastic flick of the needle and all that. I was like, I literally like 30 more seconds. I think it's just like a tiny bit more.
But we do learn another piece of interesting information in here. We hear Davos say to Dany, it doesn't matter about my father calling the fight because they're both dead and gone now. Once again, another bit of confusion for me on what exactly has happened to Kunlun. At the end of season 1, Dany and Colleen arrive at the location where Kunlun was, and Dany says it's gone. It's all gone. Which, from the comic book mythology of the Iron Fist, Kunlun disappears for 15 years. Whereas Davos, a person from Kunlun, doesn't seem to know that that's what's happened. He seems to think that it's been destroyed and everybody's dead. I'm now confused, and we've only got one more episode, so I presume it's not going to be mentioned next time. So let's have a quick chat about that, guys.
I think...
Is everybody else as confused as I am on this point of Kunlun?
I don't know. I mean, I get exactly what you're saying. Like, ultimately, Kunlun moves in and out of this plane of reality every 15 years or every 10 years, and that was explained in season 1.
Yeah.
I think when Dany and Colleen at the end of season 1 see, that it's disappeared, he does say it's disappeared. And I wonder if, Davos has gone back there as well and seen the Hand members dead by that gate and Kunlun gone. And maybe he's thinking that not only has it disappeared, but the Hand somehow got in there and is slaughtering everyone in Kunlun as it's moving back to a different plane of existence. Or he is so enraged by the fact that, he believes Danny left Kunlun, left his post of defending Kunlun against the Hand, and the Hand has, to him, attacked Kunlun because of the dead bodies there. And he doesn't know and can't know for 10, 15 years. And so that is just eating at him, because he's like going, my mother and father could be dead and it's Danny's fault. Yeah. Even though he doesn't know that, it's just that he cannot escape that from his own mind as to what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. That's how I think he's playing it, is that it's consumed him.
Mm-hmm.
This notion that Danny failed Kunlun, the Hand got in, and all he can think of is that they have killed everyone in there.
Yeah.
And not necessarily destroyed Kunlun as a city. But I don't know, it's one of those things where it's a little unclear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they changed what has happened. They retconned this themselves.
Like, I know there's a reference to it in Defenders, and I know we saw season 1 of Iron Fist and we've seen season 2, but it does feel like I'm not clear. And we podcast about this stuff. We talk about it a lot. I feel like I'm not clear on what exactly has happened.
Exactly. I'm with you on this. I think what's happened, as I said, I think they've retconned it. I think they originally it was all set up to have just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And that, okay, the guys just can't get back. That's it. They've locked the gates, or the gates have been destroyed. There's no way for them to get in, for example. I think now they're retconning it to be destroyed, because they don't want even little things. The way Danny's talking about it makes it sound like it's gone. Not, it's gone for 10 years and we'll be able to go back and check it and make sure everything's okay in a while. Mm-hmm. I think that the way that they're setting it up is, no, the Hand destroyed Kunlun.
Yeah.
And killed and slaughtered everyone.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the way I think they're setting it up, because they don't want, if we get a season 3, to have to go back to Kunlun.
Right.
It's a question, again, we'll probably get into it in a bit, a question of Colleen being what she is by the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can be the Iron Fist, but can you be an Iron Fist and not have defeated Shattuck? So that's a question. And then I was thinking,
well, yes, because Davos is. So
exactly.
So we know that now.
So we'll get to that in a bit, because I do want to dive deeper. But could this be because they just don't want to show a bloody dragon? Let's not go to the mythical city where there are some weird things and a bloody dragon, because we don't have the money and budget to do a whole season in a mythical city. Kind of thing. We'll keep them for certain pieces of flashback that, and we don't want to show a bloody dragon. So I feel they literally have retconned it. They had an idea in their head for Iron Fist season 1, and in Defenders it was like, no, it's just gone. It's not gone.
But I even feel, if I remember rightly, in Defenders there was a reference to the fact that everybody was killed.
Yeah.
Again, it feels like I'm not clear, because the story has changed from the lips of Danny to the lips of Davos to the descriptions of it to other people talking about Kunlun. It feels like it's changed multiple times, but I need to go back and have a look. Yeah, to be honest.
Danny does have that flashback in Defenders of the monks all slaughtered. Mm-hmm. Like, he never saw that.
Exactly. It's not a flashback. It's a scary moment in his mind that may have happened because he wasn't there to protect Kunlun, but he doesn't know. Yeah.
It's a mind's eye thing, and I think that potentially is with Davos as well, because
he can't know.
They can't know.
Yeah.
And with Davos, it's consumed him with rage against Danny. And so that's how it's played out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has. We've had multiple discussions, but not as deep as this, because in the end of season 1, it was just of Iron Fist. It had disappeared. In Defenders, they started mentioning destroyed and mutilation and massacre and the obliteration, annihilation of Kunlun. We were like, oh, maybe they just mean some of the people or the gate or blah, blah. And now they're talking about everyone's dead. It's gone. It's buried. Yeah. So they have slowly tweaked it, but not enough to definitively say one or the other.
Exactly. It feels like one character thinks one thing and another character thinks something else, depending on the episode.
Exactly, like. And they need to basically put, to a degree, a flag in the sand for season 3. Kung Lung is gone, or Kung Lung is disappeared, or it's in a different plane, yada, 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 yada. Yeah. But gentlemen, I think that's enough speculation.
Yes.
Let's speak about the return that we've all been waiting for, not of Kung Lung, none other than Turk Barrett, with point number 4. I know a man, the man with the ordnance.
What an interesting way to bring in Turk Barrett. Probably one of the scariest characters we've seen so far in the Netflix series, Mary, being this crazy violent person. She's up there with the Punisher kind of crazy level, and having her go to Turk Barrett, who's been the comedy character. He's been there right back to episode 1 of Daredevil season 1. He's been in pretty much every series as far as I remember. And we have him working with Mary here. It's kind of nice to see a little lighter moment with Mary and Ward.
Yeah.
Talking to Turk.
Yeah, definitely. Ward and Walker, I really enjoyed. I think it's Walker here, not really Mary.
True.
I really enjoyed it. Ward brings her the info, and so, this deal is on for Walker to protect Joy, and Ward goes in with them. I love the pitter patter when they're dealing out of the back of Turk's van. He's sliced his golf shot. Mary's there looking for the guns, looking for the good stuff. Ward kind of comes in as well. I think trying to, be as cool as Walker. Absolutely. Saying, give me, the best gun with the best bullets. It was just really nice. And then you get the little reference back to, yeah, I killed my dad. It's patricide. But whether it technically is that, given that he, was the living dead, so it was necrocide and all that. And of course, then with Walker saying, and Joy let me call you a pussy. Just so good. I love it when he goes to buy the gun. It's like, go to town, daddy killer, go to town from Walker. I just thought it was really, really good. I absolutely would love to see the series Ward and Walker come to the screen. It could be all these pair-offs. It'd be really cool. Yeah. Heroes for Hire, Daughters of the Dragon, Ward and Walker.
Yeah.
Killers at large rather than attorneys at law.
I just love why'd you bring the suit? I'm not wearing a suit.
Suit.
Turk is just this great breath of fresh air. I love that Mary has that kind of connection to him. So it is saying he's getting back on his feet after being a bit down on his luck for the previous seasons.
It must be the money that he got from Hogarth, right?
I think
it's starting to set him back up again.
Yeah.
Because the last time we saw him, he'd gone legit. He was selling legal weed and realized that he was making a hell of a lot of bucks out of doing that. And now we see him back on the street selling guns again. So I guess he must have got a cash injection and feels that he needs to go back into the crime business, but I'm glad he does. And I have to say, the moment Mary said she knows a guy, instantly smile came on my face going, that's Turk Barrett. It's got to be Turk Barrett,
Yeah, no, I was with you. So very quickly, before we get on to the rescue mission, what do we think was in the information? Do we think that this is definitely confirmation now, based on what she's read, that there is the third altar, the third personality of, I think you guys called it in the last episode, Bloody Mary, or are they going to go as far as Typhoid Mary into the third altar? When Mary and Walker need to get out of a bad, the third one comes.
I don't know what Mary wanted to get from the actual information. It's intriguing, and I really want to know what it was, because I think what she's looking for is, what are the triggers for this third altar?
Yeah.
What are the things that triggered this person to come out so she can stop it? And that's all she wants. Will that information be in a report that she already knows what happened? She knows there was another altar that killed all these people. But what other information could be in there for Mary to be able to stop this altar from coming out?
Yeah.
Or for Walker to stop this altar from coming out. I think that's what she was looking for in the information. Whether she's got it or not, I'm not sure. She burnt it way too quickly for us to see, obviously. So whether it's going to be referenced or what's going to be in there, will we hear that in the next episode?
Well, I like how, as it was being dropped into the bin, set alight, you get the machine gun fire going around. So that almost kind of suggested to me that it did outline what happened fully, and that whatever she needed to take from it, she has taken. For sure.
She's confirmed it was her that did it, I suppose, is the point. She thinks she did, but she knows now that the army know that she did it. So,
so it's basically a third altar now is there and ready to go. I do hope we get to see the introduction of the third person in the final episode, because I think that would be cool. Just a nice way to wrap it up. Basically, they get in a jam and then it's in the last episode and we suddenly get something that triggers her, or her doing something that triggers the third altar to come and like kick ass. But let's wait and see. So speaking of, they get prepared with all the ordnance they need for a rescue mission, and they go to save Joy. I loved Misty getting there first.
Oh yeah, her fight with Chen Wu is great.
Yes, exactly. My kung fu is stronger than your boxing. Oh, but wait, you've got a robotic metal arm. Oh yeah, that's going to be painful. Now we're on equal footing. I was just like, this is getting really good. And then for it to be ended so abruptly with just Mary, boom, down. I was like, they just shot that guy in the neck.
Yeah. Yeah. But even that moment, and again, I do love the fact that they use Misty's arm properly in this as a kind of a shield. She's effectively able to use it to block the punches coming at her from Chen. Very cool. The shot in the neck, shocking, as you say, to abruptly end the fight. But it goes further. Mary kills Chen Wu. Saying he wasn't going to make it. You know, we do have this really dark version of Mary going, I'm on a mission now and I'm going to kill everything in my way.
That was so, well, it wasn't so funny that, but I mean, it was just Misty's reaction, like, get an ambulance. He's bleeding out here and it's just like, 3 bullets in the chest from Mary, and she's like, nah, he wasn't going to make it. And then, you know, Misty kind of tentatively going for her gun, saying to Walker, you're not a cop killer. And she goes, no, I'm not, as she knocks her out. So that's where we kind of need to see how that's going to progress, because, you know, Ward was a bit disappointed that Chen Wu actually wasn't Davos. He wanted it to be Davos. He wanted to have taken out Davos. So there's still a mission there for Walker. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that mission takes them, because it does kind of feel like it's a shoot to kill policy that Ward's brought in here for Walker and for himself. And of course, both Colleen and Danny need Davos to be living and breathing for this transference ritual to happen. But at least now Colleen and Danny have Davos in the dojo sedated.
But I just think Mary couldn't give up the opportunity to test out her long distance shooting and close range shooting with this brand new gun that she picked up from Turk, you know? I think that's the reason why she kills Chen. It's just to kind of go, well, I can shoot him from across the room and I can shoot him close up with this brand new gun I have.
Hey, look, when we all get new tech, we want to try it out straight away.
Exactly.
It's fine.
But I'm surprised that Ward has allowed her to knock out Misty, because there is that kind of pre-existing relationship that we saw between Misty and Ward in the past. We saw they have got a little bit of a connection. Nothing particularly has happened out of it, but
Ward's kind of just seems to have left the location as soon as he realized it was Chen Wu. He's kind of just walked off. He doesn't appear to be in that scene. So maybe he's just kind of like, okay, right, I'll go back to the car. And this kind of is playing out, and he doesn't know.
I also don't think that Ward could let Mary do anything or stop Mary from doing anything she wanted to do. Yeah.
No, exactly. I do wonder where this leaves Ward. So he saved his sister. Is Ward sliding back, or is he going to do... He left the flowers on the table in the flower shop where he was buying them for his ex-sponsor, his now baby mama. They have to tie that up in the next episode. Like, otherwise because again, that's a huge arc for him, with them having problems about their own father, to him be straight away a bad father. I'm like, oh no, you can't do that. No,
they have to tie it up, definitely.
We say they have to. Sometimes TV shows don't do what they have to do, so I'm like, I'm hoping they do.
Yeah,
but gentlemen, we've been dancing around a large point.
Just a bit, yeah.
Just a bit. And we've done it quite well. We've done it for 4 points so far. Let's move it on to point number 5 of this episode. Colleen Wing, Iron Fist.
Absolutely, yes. Colleen takes on the Iron Fist, finally accepting this kind of destiny that Danny's been pushing her towards, showing her that she is the right person to take this on, showing her that she wouldn't be corrupted the way that Davos is, and will be a better Iron Fist than Danny has been able to be for the last few years. Very interesting choice. What do we think of this idea of Colleen Wing, Iron Fist?
Iron Fist is just a title.
Yeah, loving it.
It's a mantle for me. I don't care if it's Danny Ward or Colleen Wing. Comic books are there for a reason. Everyone has their own take on different stories. Some of these characters are 50, 60, 70 years old. So you're going to have all these different people writing different versions of different superheroes. The way they retcon Captain America, the way they retcon Iron Man, like all these different versions. So I am happy to see a different take on Danny Rand, the Iron Fist. It's now going to be the Iron Fist. That's what the name of the show is. So it can be with anyone. Now, I don't think they'll leave it with just her owning the Iron Fist.
No.
At the end of this season, what they'll end up, she'll have it and he'll have it, and they'll become like the dynamic Iron Fists.
Maybe. I'm again not sure about that either though, Chris. I think there's an interesting point. If we just go into the actual storyline of why she got it, effectively, what Danny's saying is that at the moment, right now, he's not focused enough to be able to take on the Iron Fist. She's shown him that by the training that she's given him, by saying that he's too emotional to carry the Iron Fist because that's what is controlling him.
It opens up this episode with Danny, as I say, taking Colleen to where he used to just punch the door because there was no crime happening, but he needed to use his Iron Fist because he was addicted. It is that moment, goes back to where Ward says, you and I are the same when they're talking about addiction.
Yeah.
That Danny is wasting the chi because it's the power that he feels, the clarity that he feels when he's using it. So he just goes to that room and punches a door, just to have that sensation. In a sense, he works it out in a slightly better way than what Davos is doing, really. Davos still likes to use, human punch bags, to use the Iron Fist. At least Danny's using a door. And I think here it's that he feels Colleen has the presence of mind and we hear this from Misty as well, to really deal with that power that courses through. We hear this now, how painful this transference is, how the power of Xiao, the Undying, is a massive force that they have to contain within their bodies, within the Iron Fist, which, we didn't really get that sense from season 1 because obviously this transference is actually coming into the body.
Yeah.
It's really much more obvious here. But having said that, the Iron Fist power can transfer. We have this story in here of the pirate queen of Ping Hai Bay. It is the idea that there is a succession of Iron Fists, whether it's Orson Randall, Danny Rand, the pirate queen, these different people that have held that title. And here it's someone else holding it. That is Colleen Wing. And it's really, really good. I absolutely, loved that lily white fist. And it's really cool how they've chosen to differentiate these different Iron Fists, the red of Davos, the classic yellow of Danny Rand, but having this lily white fist of Colleen Wing, fab. Yeah. Loved it. But having said that, I can see a time where it could quite easily come back to Danny Rand. And I think there will always be, that partnership of these two in some form or another.
Well, I think with the Iron Fist show, what I really am always hoping for with this show is that they explore the mythology a bit more. I'm not looking for them to go to the city and have the dragon, that kind of stuff. But I like the idea that they may bring in some of the historical versions of the Iron Fist. It doesn't have to be hugely big budget to do that. You can bring in some of these other 66 versions of the Iron Fist that have been there in the past. But I think what's interesting here in giving the power to Colleen is, as we say, Dany's still alive. This may be the first time that an Iron Fist has stayed alive and the power has passed to another Iron Fist. That's quite an interesting thing to explore a little bit and to talk about a little bit. And by doing it in the second last episode of the season, are we going to get more of that in the next episode? Are we going to get enough satisfaction out of this storyline and this decision with only one episode left?
I don't think so. I agree with all your points. I was hoping to almost get a Batman Beyond, Dany being slightly mentoring Colleen on the usage of the Iron Fist, and then at some point having to come back out of retirement. I thought that would be a good season 3 to a degree. I don't think they'll leave it that way. What I think it will be is because at the moment, even though Colleen is the Iron Fist, she has the White Lily. I actually like that, John. It's a nice way. So the White Lily Iron Fist. Davos still has his power as well. So they're sharing. So I'm like, well, okay. Well, then why can't Dany get some of the power back? And then you do end up getting the yellow and white together. And I think then it leads to a degree a nice kind of ending to the season in that, okay, Dany can't control all the power by himself, but if he shares it with Colleen, he shares it with his life partner, someone he loves, it means then they fix their relationship, they become partners in all sense of the word. Because they still haven't resolved that yet. Like with one episode left, are they on? Are they off? What's going on? We don't know.
Oh yeah.
So I like that if they resolve it going, okay, well look, we're going to share the responsibility. We're going to share this, go out together and patrol together and be the Iron Fists. I like that idea. I don't think I think it's all going to end up going back to Dany, and I think that's what we'll get going into season 3. If there's a season 3, who knows? I think it's just to do this on the penultimate episode, we really needed more time to explore this.
Yeah. I really, at this moment in time, I really kind of want those additional 4 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Like, I have absolutely no problem with Davos kind of being sidelined now, or even that he has this Iron Fist for, the next while as well, whichever choice is made, but to give some time and breathing space to explore Colleen Wing with the Iron Fist, whether it's temporarily or more permanently. I think that'd be really cool. It's a real shame it's not 13 episodes in that sense at this moment in time, because I really feel that they could do with those extra 4 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been enjoying what we're getting. Every time we enjoy a series, we obviously want to see more of it. So if the writing stayed at this level and was 13 episodes long, would absolutely love it. Yeah, definitely. Also an interesting choice to have Dany block Davos when he wakes back up by picking up the sword. Colleen's sword. So quite obviously showing that Dany and Colleen have completely switched positions. He's now the martial arts master as she becomes the Iron Fist.
Yeah. I did think, though, there's an extra element to that, which was you only draw the Bushido blade when you're willing to kill. And that's what I took from it. It was like, oh, he just drew the blade. He's now willing to kill Davos to protect Colleen. Like, not that he never was before, but now it's like kind of like he knows the rules to that. So that's why and they called it out twice in the season. So I was like, oh, okay, so he's accepted that he needs to kill Davos if he wants to protect the ones he loves. So that's where I took from that.
Let's see how that plays out in the next episode.
Exactly.
But that's our top 5 points, guys.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get on to our notes.
Yes, a couple of notes for this episode. We finally have our Stan Lee cameo. Did everybody see it?
Yay!
Yes, the Stan Lee cameo that is probably the least noticeable one is on the notice board in the Bayard Community Centre. We see Stan Lee, Captain Stan Lee, or Police Officer Stan Lee back. But yeah, I absolutely would have missed it if it hadn't been for the actress who plays Mrs. Yang posting a photograph of herself with it on the notice board on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. I was waiting for it the entire season because I knew where it was going to be because it was posted on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, but At least we have it. At least we have our Stanley cameo in there.
Guys are killing us with this one. They're making us wait until like literally nearly the end of each season. And they're making it harder and harder each time.
For this one, I'm wondering whether it's always been on the notice board and you just couldn't see it because of the way it was filmed back in episode 2 and episode 3.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm wondering if it's just been there in the background. It's part of the design and then we only get to see it in this episode.
Could be. I think they need to just go a bit more in your face. A bit more MCU with it. Kind of like, oh, look, and there's Stan Lee.
Yeah. Well, at least it's better than the one in Luke Cage season 2, which was genuinely blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
Where we had to pause it to make sure that it was actually the Stan Lee picture. This one, it was a bit more in your face, a little bit more in your face than it had been in the past. Other note for me, I'm just wondering if you guys think I'm overthinking things when Joy says to Chen Wu if he thinks he's on the black side of Davos's moral ledger. Is that a reference to Black Widow's red in her ledger concept, her moral ledger that she spoke about back in Avengers? Not that Joy would know about it, but I'm wondering if the writers are kind of referencing this moral ledger concept from the Avengers.
I took it as something. I didn't think about Black Widow, but I took it as being something important because it was the way it was called out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that does make sense. It's a nice callback.
Yeah, definitely. The only note I've got is just when Misty's speaking with Danny and she goes, yeah, I shouldn't really have brought Frank Choi in, should I really? And he's like, well, nah, you shouldn't. It was a nice little moment.
Yeah. And we haven't really talked about the music this season much, but the music in this episode I thought was standout, was absolutely really, really good through the fight sequences, through Davos's arrival at the Bayard Community Centre. Some really good choices in this episode. Brand new composer for this season as well. Not the same composer as season 1. But I think this episode really is where it all stood out to me.
I think coming straight off of Luke Cage season 2, where music is such an integral part, so ingrained, and it's so in your face to a degree. This season was not as impactful.
I think that's my point, though. For this episode is the first episode in 9 of 10 episodes this season where the music has really stood out to me as being integral for, an intro to Davos, for example. We have a piece of music that feels like Davos's theme tune in this episode, which is really weird to get 9 episodes into the series and only have that experience now, especially, as you say, after coming off season 2 of Luke Cage, which really felt like the music is integral to the show. So just wanted to call it out, I suppose, in this episode. Any other notes?
Just a quick one from me. It was kind of a blink and you'll miss it, and we actually did. And it was only recently that this kind of got called out to me. Back in episode 6 or 7, I believe, where Mary goes to rescue Danny and everything. The building that she goes to rescue them from, which is the same building that Davos now uses as his base of operations, is 17 Baxter. Now, it's a under construction, or the construction has ended, building called Baxter. And it's a building. Baxter, and it's a Baxter building. So the question is, this is just a nice nod, do we think, gentlemen?
It kind of has to be at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As they didn't have the rights to the Fantastic Four, for those of you that aren't comic book readers.
Excuse me. Yes, sorry. I should have mentioned that part.
Yeah, the Baxter Building is the place that houses the Fantastic Four in the comic books. They are not characters owned by Marvel at the moment. They certainly weren't when this episode was being written. So I think, yes, it is a coincidence, possibly, or a sly nod, a sly reference from a writer that likes the Fantastic Four. But yeah, unfortunately, can't be an official reference to the Fantastic Four because they don't have the rights, right?
So at the moment, it's really just a reference to Baxter's tinned soup that you can get.
That could be.
It can be.
It could be.
It can't
yes.
possibly be anything to do with the Fantastic Four.
Yes, but I just thought it was a nice nod. I did like it that it was the building under construction called Baxter, and I was like, oh yeah, that was well done.
A very, very heavily hidden Easter egg there. No wonder we missed it.
Yes. But that's all of the notes from my side, gentlemen. I think that's all the notes from your side. So I think it's about time we move on to our defends. John, do you defend this episode of Iron Fist?
Yes, I do defend this episode of Iron Fist War Without End. I give it 4.5 white Iron Fists out of 5. I really just loved how this came together. Everything. I like, Colleen Wing with her lily white Iron Fist, I just really thought was fantastic. It was a shame we lost BB along the way, but it was certainly a emotional moment and a poignant moment for Colleen to actually take up Danny with, on his suggestion. I love that, it starts off with her flat out refusing it. And by the end, she is at least taking on board the Iron Fist, at least half of it. I love the fact that Davos still has his because he interrupted that transference. Really very cool. Misty and Colleen, again, another part of the reason why she takes this Iron Fist, because of that conversation with Misty by the apartment. This idea that Misty would have faith and the belief that Colleen could handle this power and she would use it right, I think Misty says, and kick some serious ass. So really, really cool. Warden Walker, fab. Turk Barrett, great. Loved the battle between Davos and Danny Rand in the community centre. So this had so many great elements to it. So absolutely defend this episode of Iron Fist. Derek, with that, do you defend this episode of Iron Fist?
I absolutely defend this episode. I loved this episode of Iron Fist. Really enjoyed it. For all the points you mentioned and all the points we've talked about as well, there's so much good stuff in this episode. I can't wait to get on to the finale, and I also don't want it to be the finale, as I've mentioned. I've loved this season so far and don't want it to be over. But Chris, do you defend episode 9 of season 2 of Iron Fist?
I really enjoyed the culmination of these 8+ hours, 8 and some change, if you want to call it that. It was satisfying to see they used a lot of the same plot points. Davos was taken down not by a massive, huge battle, but was taken down by the training that Colleen had given to Danny in order for him to actually stop fighting with all the emotion, the hate, the rage, the loss, etc. So seeing that used against Davos was really, that was a nice kind of full circle on that story part.
And Special K.
And Special K. Seeing Colleen come full circle on the decision that she needs to step up to become the White Fist, the White Tiger, the White Dragon, whatever way we want to call it, or whatever the name will be. Just seeing that last flash at the end. It burns! Beautiful. But not even just seeing her take on that mantle. Yes, she had to lose BB because of it. But that fighting against Rhino's gang was just brilliant. Mm-hmm. Seeing her go all out. I just really enjoyed this. We got Turk. Seeing Turk give Ward the gun, Ward coming into the rescue of Joy. Mm-hmm. It just all seemed to me just a really nice culmination. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the best way. It didn't go out with a bang, but it didn't go out with a fizzle. It went out exactly how I wanted it to. Yeah. But it's not over. Mm-hmm. And that's the bit I'm like, okay, give me more. Tell me what happens now to Joy. Pirate Queen of Ping Hai Bay. Mm-hmm. What is going on there? I straight away was now just give me everything. Just download it. And this is the only thing, and I think I'm going to echo your response, Derek. I think I'm going to echo a lot of what you're going to talk about, which is I just want more now. Mm-hmm. Don't just give me another hour. Give me another 4. Yeah. Use the time that they should have been given. It didn't feel rushed. It just didn't feel as deep as some of the other series we've got. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I fully defend this episode of Iron Fist.
Nice. And with that, let's get on to our feedback for this episode.
Yes, we get some feedback in through on our Facebook group. You can head on over to Facebook patreon.com/groups/Defenders TV podcast. Jamie Young on episode 8 goes, so glad Joy survived that fall. There's still a chance for her and Ward to reconcile. I'm really bummed about BB though. I liked him. Jamie continues, I really, really hope Turk turning up in unexpected places is the new norm. Everything about that scene was gold. Mm-hmm. Holy moly, Colleen actually has the fist. I didn't comment on it before because I honestly didn't think they'd really do it. So unexpected, I wonder what this means going forward. Yeah, I mean, it's great that they've done it, I think. And certainly, we definitely hope that it would be at least 4 more episodes going forward so that we could really get some time with Colleen with the Iron Fist.
Yeah. You and me both, Jamie. I just want to now devour the final episode and see where this goes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thanks so much for your feedback, Jamie. So we have a piece of feedback from Salima Kisler over on Facebook. He says, the scene with Turk, Mary and Ward was fantastic. I guess Turk figured out guns are much more profitable than weed. And I loved Ward giving Turk golf tips at the end. I'm thinking Colleen will reopen the dojo to the surviving members of BB's crew at the end of this season. What's Mary's beef with Misty in this episode? Why does she knock her out at the end? In terms of Mary, I think she's knocking Misty out so Misty's kind of protected for the impending battle against Davos so that Misty doesn't turn her into the cops or doesn't get hurt by Davos. I think that's the only reason. It's not that she has a particular beef. I think she's just going to stick her in a safe place for a while until she's taken care of her beef with Davos. Hopefully she's not waiting too long in the building for Davos to return because Misty might not have any water and food.
Yeah. Or we're going to get a Misty-shaped hole in the wall.
Possibly. Possibly. And yeah, totally agree with you, Celine, that scene with Turk Barrett, again, bringing great stuff to the show. Loved these scenes with Rob Morgan. He gets some great moments in the shows. Thanks so much for your feedback, Celine. Thanks so much for listening, fellow Defenders. We'll be back with our next episode 10 of Season 2, A Jewel of Iron. Should be coming out really soon. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again then.
Thank you so much, guys, and see you soon.
As always, it has been a pleasure speaking with you, fellow Defenders, and we will be back again soon, just as soon as I have cleared up this floor that is slick with disloyal blood. Yes, Davos has been in the house. Okay, we'll speak with you again soon. Bye.